Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to talk about a film I really like, The Barbarians, 1987, created by Ruggiero Diodato, which I believe he also did Cannibal Holocaust, which I'm not a fan of, but he did a lot of Italian sort of cheesy horror movies and things like that. So I've spoken about this film before. However, I realized after I had already purchased that Blu-ray that that was a bootleg from Spain, that a lot of Blu-rays that are hard to come by or only in certain areas are bootlegged in Spain and then sold on Amazon and eBay as legit when they aren't. So that was my mistake. I had ordered that and it looked great. The quality was good. I couldn't tell if the disc was pressed or burned. It looked pressed, but I know they've done both with their bootlegs. So that being said, I ended up getting rid of that one. So I knew I had to have the Barbarians from their official legit Blu-ray put out by Kino Lorber and Scorpion Releasing. It is a Conan ripoff, pretty much. You can anything you've seen in my other video will still apply to this. So if you've seen that one, you know what you're getting into. It's pretty much a much goofier, not serious Conan the Barbarian, starring David and Peter Paul. And sadly, David Paul passed away in March of 2020. And Peter and David actually I've spoken to a little bit here and there on Facebook. And then David had passed away. And I still keep in touch with Peter a very little bit, but not as much as I did with David in regards to kind of chatting with him online. These guys were really big in the 80s. They were in DC Cab, obviously the Barbarians. They were known as the Barbarian Brothers, and a bunch of other movies, Twin Sitters, some really fun, cheesy 80s films, but they haven't really acted in a very long time. So it's pretty much Conan the Barbarian, except instead of just one, there's two, and they are kidnapped. Their tribe is taken over, and the people are kidnapped and sold into slavery and stuff. And they take them as kids, and they sort of manipulate them to hate one another, even though they don't remember one another, and they drive them crazy, and then they try to make them kill one another. And that's how the story kicks off. Meanwhile, the main crux of the story after that is they're looking for this ruby that will, I think, has some kind of magical powers, a little fuzzy, has some magical powers and will save their tribe. And that's the gist of the film. There's a lot of goofiness. There's a dragon near the middle of the film that looks really bad. Really no gore. There is some fighting sequences that are pretty fun, but nothing amazing. But it's just a fun, goofy, cheesy B medieval, fantasy type film. Michael Berryman is in it, who has a fairly small role as the Dirt Master. He's like a slave driver for the bad guys. He just like laughs a lot and makes weird noises, but he always plays a good bad guy because he's so creepy looking. And Richard Lynch is in this, who you would know probably from, I believe he was in Cobra with Stallone, and he was in, was it Bad Dreams, I want to say, which was pretty good. He's the gentleman with like the burnt face who was very popular in the 80s and early 90s that you would know from a lot of movies. But if any of this sounds interesting to you, I would definitely recommend The Barbarians. It's a fun little fantasy film with some decent action and some goofy humor. And I think that if you like Conan the Barbarian but want something a little more lighthearted, I would check this out. It comes with English subtitles, um, just a trailer and some commentary by Troy Howarth and Nathaniel Thompson, who I don't know who they are. I'm actually not sure who that is. But it's a pretty bare bones release, but it is a fun film. So if any of that sounds your speed, it would be a perfect, rental movie if rental chains were still around. But at this point, it's still a good purchase. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.